Alexander the Great Volkanovski has recently spoken about his plans to move up a division and instantly challenge for the lightweight title. Volka's desires of joining the select few fighters who make up the champ category of fighters who have won the belts in 2 different divisions. Today, we are discussing Volkanovski's recent demand for a lightweight title shot, plus some other UFC bits and pieces. So stay right where you are. First up, what has Volk been up to recently? Unless you've been living on the moon for the past couple of weeks, you will know that the Aussie hero was last out at UFC 273 earlier this month against the dangerous Sung Jung, aka the Korean Zombie. In an absolute striking clinic, the Great dominated the fight from start to finish, and the writing was on the wall for the Korean from the very first minute. As Volk asserted his dominance, the Zombie never really got going, and Volk was first to every exchange, moving in and out of range at will and landing on Zombie with almost every combination thrown. The successful defense was Volkanovski's 3rd at featherweight after dismantling Brian Ortega last time out, and successfully defending in a rematch against Max Blessed Holloway back in July 2020. In beating Zombie, Volk registered his 21st straight win, and it seems as though the Aussie is untouchable at the moment. He is so well-rounded across all aspects of the game that it's going to take one heck of a performance to dethrone him. And given the fact that he has recently beaten the 2 closest fighters to him in the rankings, as well as everyone else he has fought in the UFC, suggests that he could reign supreme for some time to come, which is bad news for everyone else in the division. But could the rest of the guys in the featherweight rankings be set for a piece of good news? Next up, we're discussing Volk's plans of moving up. Stay tuned. So as we know, Volkanovski has recently been discussing his plans of potentially moving up a division to challenge for lightweight gold, following in the footsteps of Irishman Conor McGregor, who also captured featherweight and lightweight gold back in the middle of the last decade. After dismantling Sung Jung recently, he has suggested that he should be next in line for a crack at Charles Oliveira's lightweight title. However, Oliveira is out against Justin Gaethje in the near future, so it could be in fact the case that he doesn't fight Oliveira at all should he be given the green light by Dana White. It is thought that the fight would take place at 155, meaning Volk could be forced to vacate his featherweight title. He even rejected a fight at lightweight against Rafael Dos Anjos recently, adding to the speculation that he would be next in line for a lightweight title shot. And in a recent interview, Volk had this to say: "I want this title fight. I call for it because I think I earned it. We're seeing guys get the chance at a second title for much less than what I've done. I don't think I'll waste my time unless it is for the belt," which is probably fair enough. He went on to say that he'd be consulting his team to see what they think, but Volk certainly believes he has done enough to be rewarded with an instant title shot if and when he moves up, which is pretty difficult to disagree with. So what else did the Great have to say? Let's see. While conceding that he might not get his wish in his very next outing, he did say he would expect to come in the fight after at the latest. And it's not as if he's never fought at lightweight before. He has, and he is undefeated in the division. Actually, he's undefeated at middleweight too, with his only loss coming at welterweight back in 2013. Volk, who regularly reminds his fellow featherweight competitors that all they have to do is put a run together and he will grant them a title shot, which should guarantee Arnold Allen the next shot in fairness. Said about his fellow featherweights, if that division were doing their part and people were trying to take the #1 spot and someone who took out top contenders, Max probably wouldn't get a trilogy straight away. But because these guys are sort of sitting back and, I don't know, trying to pick their fights and things like that, he was the only one who took out the #1 contenders and cemented himself as the #1 contender. If the other contenders were doing that and there was a clear #1 contender, or even #2, they would probably be in front of Max and everyone would be screaming their name. He went on to reveal that he has eyes on the lightweight division whilst he waits for someone to step up in the featherweight ranks. In the meantime, he has said he wants 3 fights this year, and he's not willing to wait for the featherweights to shape up. And Michael Bisping has given his thoughts on who wins should Volk face Oliveira. Stay tuned. Former middleweight champ Michael Bisping was recently answering questions during a Q&A on his YouTube channel, when he was asked about who he would back should Volk step up and challenge Duke Bronx for the lightweight title, but he wouldn't be swayed one way or another. In a classic example of sitting on the fence, Bisping alluded to the fact that you can't disrespect the champ, but then even questioned which champ. He then praised Brazilian Oliveira for being special and referenced his career resurgence, something which is sure to resonate with Bisping himself after he was written off many times during his UFC career for capturing gold back in 2016. He said what he's been through, what he's done, the ups and downs, the losses at 145, goes up to 155, goes on a tear, right? Who did he beat? Michael Chandler. Became the champ, beats Dustin Poirier, now he's fighting Justin Gaethje. I mean, it's unreal. So I find it hard to bet against that guy right now. But he wouldn't comment on Volk, actually saying that he was sitting on the fence there. Of course, Oliveira is the current lightweight king, but Volkanovski keeps going through taller guys than him in his own division. Ortega, Holloway, and Zombie were all bigger guys, but he came out on top all 3. So there's no reason why he couldn't beat Oliveira, but he would have to be careful for the Brazilian's world-class jiu-jitsu, another rumored opponent for Volk now. Stay tuned. Whether the featherweight division seemingly is in rear view, Volk has of course set his sights on the lightweight division, and it appears that if he doesn't get an instant title fight, he is happy enough to settle for a money spinner against the notorious Conor McGregor. Volk has beaten all comers during his run in the UFC, and as such, sits at #2 in the pound-for-pound rankings. He has beaten former champions and all others during his run, but the one former champ from his division who he hasn't beaten is the Irishman McGregor. McGregor. He said, "He is the only other champion in my division that I haven't fought yet. I've beat every other champion, so it makes a lot of sense. It's something that I want, purely because of money and the circus around it, hype and all that stuff." While it makes sense that Volk would want the McGregor fight purely for the money it brings with it, he also explained that he wants to beat all the legends in my division. He wants to be known as the best of the best, and the only way to do that is to beat all of the former champions in division who are still active, which obviously includes McGregor. He also claimed that if you want that GOAT status, and that's what I want, to take out all these guys, so it makes a lot of sense. Fair enough. Who do you think wins should these two throw down? And finally, an odd shout out during last weekend's fights. Irish mobster Daniel Kinahan, who has recently been sanctioned by the US government, is known for having ties to the fight game and UFC fighter Mounir Lazzez, who won Saturday night via unanimous decision, gave him a shout out in post-fight interview with DC commentating after the fight. He said, "I would love to thank my coaches and my brother, Daniel Kinahan. Without him, I would never be the man that I am today and my career to this point. Thanks a lot." Kinahan was brought to the attention of the US government and is believed to be the head of an organized crime group in Dublin, responsible for flooding the country with illicit drugs, believed to be in Dubai if pictures from Darren Till's Twitter are to be believed. He has a $5 million bounty on his head, and the MTK Global owner, who is heavily involved in organizing boxing fights, also represents Till, Alexander Volkanovski, and Talia Santos. What do you make of Lazzez's shout out? Let us know below. As always, thanks for dropping in today, and remember to join us again next time for some more fun and games. Also, why not do us a solid by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel? Bye guys!